The night was cold and silent on the edge of the human colony. 2 moons hung low in the dark sky, their pale light falling on broken ground and dry dust. The wind moved slowly, but it was sharp and cruel. It cut through thin fabric, through weak walls, through hope itself. At the far end of the settlement, where no proper lights reached, a small torn tent stood alone. Inside that tent lived an alien mother and her 3 children. The tent was made from old cloth and plastic sheets tied together with wire. It shook with every strong wind. Cold air slipped in through many holes. The ground inside was hard and wet. There was no fire, no heat, and no real protection. The alien mother sat on the ground, her back against a metal crate. Her skin was a soft blue-gray color, marked with lines of stress and age. Her eyes were large and tired, glowing faintly in the dark. She wrapped her thin arms around her children, pulling them close to her chest. The youngest child whimpered. Softly, his small body shook from the cold. "It's okay," the mother whispered in her own language, though her voice was weak. "Stay close, stay quiet." The middle child pressed her face into her mother's side, trying not to cry. The oldest child sat near the tent opening, watching the dark outside with fearful eyes. He was trying to be brave, but fear sat heavy in his chest. They had been here for many nights. Each night felt colder than the last. Not far away, the human colony was alive with light and warmth. Buildings stood strong with metal walls and bright windows. Inside, humans ate hot food and slept in warm beds. Machines hummed softly, keeping the cold away. But none of that warmth reached the tent. Some humans passed by during the day. Most did not stop. Some looked at the tent with dislike. Others looked away, as if the alien family did not exist. A few whispered angry words about aliens bringing trouble. The alien mother had learned to stay silent. She had learned that begging only brought more pain. That night, the wind grew stronger. The tent shook hard, and one of the ropes snapped. The cloth flapped wildly, letting in a rush of freezing air. The youngest child cried out. The mother pulled him close, her heart pounding. She tried to fix the rope with shaking hands, but the cold made her fingers slow and weak. Outside the tent, footsteps stopped. The mother froze. Fear rushed through her body. She held her children tighter and waited. Many humans did not like aliens. Some were cruel. Some were dangerous. The footsteps did not move. A human stood a short distance away, half hidden by shadow. His name was Daniel. Daniel was not rich or powerful. He was just a worker in the colony. His jacket was old, his boots worn. He had been walking back from a late shift when he saw the tent moving in the wind. At first, he told himself to keep walking. It was not his problem. That was what the rules said. That was what people said every day. But then he heard the cry of a child. He stopped. Daniel stood there, watching the weak light inside the tent flicker. He saw the small shapes pressed together. He felt something heavy move inside his chest. He remembered another cold night, years ago, on a broken world far from here. He remembered being alone. He remembered how silence felt when no one came to help. The wind blew harder. Daniel took a slow step forward, then stopped again. Helping aliens could bring trouble. People might report him. He could lose his job, maybe worse. Inside the tent, the mother whispered prayers to any force that might still listen. She did not know the human was there. She only knew the cold was winning. The oldest child looked up suddenly. Through a tear in the tent, he saw a shadow, a tall shape. Human-shaped. Fear filled his eyes. "Mother," he whispered. She followed his gaze. Her breath caught. Her body went stiff. She moved slightly in front of her children, ready to protect them with her own body if she had to. Outside, Daniel raised his hands slowly, though he knew they could not see him clearly. "I won't hurt you," he said softly, more to himself than to them. The wind swallowed his words. The night felt endless. Cold pressed down on the tent. Fear pressed down on every heart inside it. Two worlds stood only a few steps apart. And on that cold night, one human had stopped walking. He did not know it yet, but that single pause was about to change everything. Daniel stood in the cold longer than he meant to. The wind pulled at his jacket, and dust touched his face, but he did not move away. His eyes stayed on the weak tent. Inside he could feel fear, even without seeing it clearly. He took a slow breath and stepped closer. The sound of his boots on the ground was soft, but inside the tent, the alien mother heard it. Her heart jumped. She pulled her children closer and lowered her head, ready for the worst. Many humans had come before. None had helped. "Please go," she whispered. Though she did not know if the human could understand her words, Daniel stopped. A few steps away. He could see them now through the torn cloth. 3 small shapes, thin, shaking. The mother's eyes met his through the tear. They were full of fear, but also something else, deep tiredness. He had seen that look before. "Not here to hurt you," Daniel said again, louder this time but still calm. He spoke slowly, using simple words. I saw the tent." The mother did not answer. She did not trust his voice. Trust had brought her pain in the past. Daniel looked at the broken rope flapping in the wind. Without thinking too much, he slowly took off his jacket. The cold hit his arms at once, but he did not care. He held the jacket out, keeping his distance. "For the children," he said. The oldest child stared at the jacket. He had not felt something warm in many nights. He looked at his mother, waiting. The mother hesitated. Every part of her told her this was dangerous. But the child's shaking body pressed against her, and the cold was growing stronger. Slowly, she reached out and took the jacket. Her fingers brushed Daniel's for a moment. He felt how cold she was. It shocked him more than the wind ever could. She wrapped the jacket around the youngest child. The crying stopped. Daniel swallowed hard. "You can't stay here tonight," he said quietly. "It's too cold." The mother's eyes widened. Fear returned at once. She shook her head quickly. "We will leave in the morning," she said in broken human words. "Please, just go." Daniel shook his head. "No, morning may be too late." He looked around. A few lights from the colony blinked far away. No guards were near. "Not yet. There is a place," he said. "An old shelter. No one uses it." The mother pulled her children closer again. "Why?" she asked. "Why help us?" Daniel did not answer right away. He asked himself the same question, because he could not forget the sound of the child crying. Because he remembered being alone. Because walking away would break something inside him that might never heal. "I don't know," he said honestly. "I just know I can't leave you here." Silence filled the space between them. The wind screamed again, tearing at the tent. One side of it collapsed inward. The children cried out in fear. That decided it. The mother stood up slowly, keeping her children close. She did not trust the human, but she trusted the night even less. "Show us," she said. Daniel nodded. "Stay close, walk fast." They moved quietly across the open ground. Daniel walked in front, watching the shadows. The alien mother followed, carrying the youngest child while the other two held onto her sides. Every step felt dangerous. From a distance, a human voice laughed. Lights flickered on and off. Daniel's heart raced. If someone saw them, everything could end right there. They reached the old shelter at the edge of the colony. It was small, made of metal, with a broken door hanging loose. Daniel pushed it. Open. Inside, it was dark but still. The wind could not reach them. Daniel closed the door behind them. The children looked around with wide eyes. The ground was dry. The walls were strong. No wind. No cold hands pulling at them. The mother slowly lowered herself to the floor. Her legs felt weak. She had not realized how close she was to falling. For the first time in many nights, her children We're not shaking. Daniel leaned against the wall, breathing hard. His hands were numb, but his chest felt heavy and warm at the same time. Outside, the colony continued its life, unaware. Inside the small shelter, a line had been crossed. Daniel knew it. Helping them was only the beginning. Morning light did not reach the inside of the old shelter. Thick metal walls blocked the cold wind, but they also blocked the sun. The air inside was still and quiet, broken only by soft breathing. The alien children were asleep. They were curled together on the floor, wrapped in Daniel's jacket and pieces of old cloth the mother had found. Their faces looked peaceful for the first time since Daniel had seen them. No shaking, no crying. The alien mother sat awake. She did not sleep at all. She watched Daniel carefully from across the small room. He sat on an empty crate near the door, his head lowered, his back against the wall. His eyes were open, but tired. He had stayed awake too, listening for footsteps, for voices, for danger. The mother broke the silence. "Why are you still here?" she asked quietly. Daniel looked up. "I wanted to make sure no one came." She studied his face. Humans often hid their thoughts behind hard eyes. This one looked different. There was no hunger for power there, only concern. "You risk trouble," she said. "Your people do not welcome mine." "I know," Daniel replied, "but children should not freeze." Her gaze dropped to her sleeping children. Her chest tightened. She nodded once. The shelter door creaked suddenly. Both of them froze. Daniel stood at once and placed himself between the door and the family. His heart pounded hard. If a guard found them now, there would be no easy way out, but it was only the wind pushing against the loose metal. The door settled again. The mother exhaled slowly. "You protect us," she said. "Why?" Daniel thought again. He always seemed to be thinking. "When I was young," he said, "my family ran from a war. We slept in places like this. If someone had not helped us, I don't know if I'd be here." The mother listened closely. Pain spoke the same language across all worlds. A soft sound came from one of the children. The oldest stirred and slowly opened his eyes. He sat up, confused at first, then looked around. "This is not the tent," he whispered. "No," his mother said gently. "This is shelter." The child looked at Daniel. Fear flickered in his eyes, but it did not stay long. Instead, curiosity replaced it. "Are you the human from the night?" he asked. Daniel nodded. "Yes." The child hesitated, then gave a small bow, the way his people showed respect. "Thank you for the roof." The simple words hit Daniel harder than any threat ever could. The other children woke soon after. When they realized they were warm and safe, quiet smiles appeared on their faces. The youngest laughed softly, touching the metal wall as if it were something magical. But peace did not last long. Voices echoed. Outside, human voices. Daniel stiffened. He moved toward the door and listened. Two people were talking, their steps slow, their tone bored. "They say an alien tent was gone this morning," one voice said. "Probably moved on," the other replied. "Good riddance." Daniel's jaw tightened. The mother stood and pulled her children close again. Fear returned like a shadow. "They will find us," she whispered. Daniel shook his head. "Not yet." He knew something else too. He could not hide them forever. "This place is only for tonight," he said. "We need a better plan." The mother looked at him. "There is no place for us." "There might be," Daniel replied. "But it will make people angry." She met his eyes. "We have lived with anger all our lives." Silence passed between them. Outside, the footsteps faded away. Daniel opened the shelter door slightly and looked out. The colony was waking up. Machines moved. Lights changed. Life went on. Inside him, something changed too. He turned back to the alien mother. "Tonight, he said slowly, choosing his words with care. You will sleep under a real roof, not this place. Somewhere safe. Her eyes widened. Where? She asked. Daniel did not answer right away, because the place he was thinking of was not just shelter. It was his home. And once he brought them there, nothing would ever be the same again. Daniel did not sleep at all that day. After leaving the shelter, he walked back into the colony with heavy steps. His mind was full of questions and fear. Bringing the alien family to his home was not a small choice. It was a dangerous one. Rules were clear. Aliens without papers were not allowed inside human housing zones. But when he remembered the children's faces, the cold in their bones, and the fear in the mother's eyes, he knew he could not turn back. As the day moved on, whispers began to spread. Some workers talked about a missing tent. Others said an alien family had vanished during the night. No one knew where they had gone, but many were glad. Daniel stayed quiet. When the sun began to fall and long shadows stretched across the colony, he returned to the old shelter. His heart beat fast as he opened the door. They were still there. The alien mother stood at once when she saw him. Her body tensed, ready to flee if needed. It is not safe, she said quickly. We can leave. Daniel raised his hands. No, not yet. I came back for you. He carried a small bag with him. Inside were simple things: dry food, a bottle of water, and a clean blanket. The children's eyes widened as he placed them on the floor. For you, he said. The mother watched him closely. Why do you return? She asked again. You could forget us. I tried, Daniel replied softly. I couldn't. Outside, lights from the colony flickered on. Night was coming again. Daniel took a deep breath. I have a place, he said. It's small, but it's warm. And no one goes there at night. The mother hesitated. Her mind was full of danger and memories of betrayal. Trust had always cost her something. But the children were already holding the blanket. The youngest smiled. She nodded once. We will follow. They moved through the colony using narrow paths between buildings. Daniel avoided open areas and security lights. Every sound made his heart jump. The children walked quietly, holding each other's hands. The mother stayed close behind Daniel, watching every shadow. At last, they reached a small housing block near the edge of the human zone. Daniel stopped in front of a plain metal door. This is it, he said. The mother's eyes filled with fear. Humans live here. I do, Daniel answered. He opened the door. Warm air rushed out. The children gasped softly. Inside was a small room with metal walls, a narrow bed, a table, and a heater humming quietly. The light was soft and steady. No wind, no cold. The mother stepped inside slowly, as if the place might vanish if she moved too fast. The youngest child laughed and ran to the heater, holding his hands close to it. The other children stood frozen, not knowing where to look first. Daniel closed the door behind them. For a moment, no one spoke. Then a sharp knock hit the door. Daniel's heart dropped. Another knock. Louder this time. Daniel, a voice called. Open up. The alien mother pulled her children close, her face pale with fear. She looked at Daniel, ready to run. Though there was nowhere to go. Daniel moved toward the door. His hands shook, but his back stayed straight. Yes? He called. The door opened slightly. A human supervisor stood outside, his eyes sharp. People say you were near the alien tents last night, the man said. You see anything strange? Daniel forced himself to stay calm. No, he said. Just went home. The supervisor studied his face. His gaze moved past Daniel, trying to see inside. Daniel stepped forward, blocking the view. The silence stretched. Finally, the supervisor snorted. Keep your nose clean, he said and walked away. Daniel closed the door and leaned against it, breathing hard. The alien mother stared at him in shock. You lie for us, she whispered. Yes, Daniel said. And I would do it again. Outside, the colony lights shone bright. Inside, for the first time, the alien family stood under a real roof, but Daniel knew the danger had only begun. The night passed quietly, but danger did not sleep. Daniel woke before the sun, sitting up fast as if his body had sensed trouble. The room was still warm. The heater hummed softly. For a moment, he forgot everything. Then he remembered. The alien family. He turned his head. The mother sat on the floor near the bed, her back straight, her eyes open. She had not slept much. One of the children lay with his head on her lap, breathing softly. The other two were curled together under the blanket. Daniel lowered his voice. "You should rest." She shook her head. "Sleep is for safe places." Her words stayed with him. As the sky outside slowly grew lighter, sounds from the colony began to rise. Doors opened. Machines started. Voices filled the air. The mother watched the small window carefully. "They will come," she said. Daniel nodded. "Maybe, but not yet." He stood and walked to the table. He poured water into a cup and offered it to her. She accepted, her hands steady but her eyes cautious. "You have not asked my name," she said. Daniel paused. "I didn't want to scare you." She gave a small, sad smile. "My name is Sarai." "Daniel," he replied. Sarai looked down at her children. "You risk much for strangers." "They're not strangers anymore," Daniel said. The oldest child stirred and sat up. He looked at Daniel, then at his mother. "Are we in trouble?" he asked. Sarai did not answer right away. Daniel knelt in front of him. "Not today," he said, "and I will do my best to make sure not tomorrow either." The child studied Daniel's face, then nodded as if he accepted the promise. Silence fell again. Then Sarai spoke, her voice low. "There is something you should know," she said. Daniel looked up. "My children are not ordinary," she continued. "That is why we hide." Daniel felt a cold weight settle in his chest. "What do you mean?" Sarai took a slow breath. "My people are hunted, not for war, not for land, for what we carry." She touched her chest, then touched her children. Gently, "Knowledge," she said. "Living knowledge." Daniel frowned. "I don't understand." Sarai looked at the window again, then back at him. "Our minds hold maps, codes, and memories. Old things, powerful things. They grow inside our children." Daniel's heart beat faster. "The colony leaders know this," Sarai said. "That is why they let us suffer. They wait for us to break." Daniel stood up slowly. "They would take your children?" "Yes," she said. "To use them." Anger rose in Daniel like fire. He clenched his fists. "That won't happen," he said. Without thinking, Sarai's eyes searched his face. "You cannot stop them. Maybe not alone," Daniel replied. "But I won't help them." The children listened quietly, not fully understanding but sensing fear. Sarai moved closer to Daniel. "If they find us here, they will punish you." Daniel looked at his small room, his job, his life. All of it could be taken away. He thought of the tent in the cold. "I already chose," he said. A loud announcement echoed outside through the colony speakers. "All residents report any unauthorized alien presence immediately." Sarai stiffened. The children moved closer together. Daniel's blood ran cold. "They are starting," Sarai whispered. Daniel went to the door and pressed his ear against it. Heavy footsteps passed nearby. He turned back to Sarai. "We can't stay," he said. "But we won't run without a plan." Sarai met his gaze. For the first time, her fear mixed with hope. "Why do you help us?" she asked one last time. Daniel answered without hesitation. "Because humanity is not what they say it is," he said. Outside, the hunt had begun. Inside the small room, a secret had been revealed, one that could change the fate of many worlds. The colony felt different that day. Sirens did not scream. but tension hung in the air like thick fog. Guards moved more often. Drones hovered longer above streets. People spoke in low voices, then went silent when uniforms passed by. Daniel felt it the moment he stepped outside his room. He told Sarai and the children to stay inside and keep quiet. The door was locked, the lights dimmed. The children sat close together on the floor, holding hands. "Do not open the door for anyone," Daniel said firmly. Sarai nodded. "We will wait." Daniel walked into the colony with a heavy heart. Every step felt like walking deeper into danger. At the Poundy Central Work Area, workers were being stopped and questioned. Guards asked simple questions with sharp eyes. "Did you see any aliens? Did anyone come to your home last night?" Daniel answered calmly when his turn came. "No." The guard stared at him for a long moment, then waved him on. Daniel did not relax. At midday, he saw something that made his blood run cold. A large transport ship landed near the command building. Its metal body was marked with symbols of the Central Authority. This was not a normal patrol. Sarai had been right. They were not just searching, they were collecting. Daniel turned away quickly and moved toward an old communication terminal near the storage units. It was rarely used. Most people did not know it still worked. He activated it and sent a short message. "I need help now." The message went to one person only. Mara. She was a human, like Daniel, but not just a worker. She had once been an officer before leaving the system. She believed in something better. Minutes felt like hours. Back in the room, Sarai felt fear growing stronger. The children were restless. The youngest asked when Daniel would return. "Soon," she said, though she did not know if it was true. A sudden knock hit the door. Sarai's heart nearly stopped. She moved silently, pulling the children behind her. She did not answer. Another knock. "Daniel," a voice called. It was not Daniel. Sarai closed her eyes. Then footsteps moved. Away. Outside, Daniel was running. Mara met him near the storage wall. Her face was serious, her eyes alert. "You were right," she said. "They are taking alien families from the outer zones." Daniel swallowed. "They're after Sarai's children." Mara nodded. "Because of what they are." Daniel clenched his jaw. "I won't let them take them." Mara looked at him closely. "Then you need to make noise, big noise." Daniel understood. Standing quietly would only make them disappear. That evening, as the colony gathered near the central square, Daniel stepped forward. He spoke loud. "These are children," he said, "not tools. Not weapons." People turned. Guards moved closer. "They let them freeze," Daniel continued. "They wait until they break, then they take their children." Gasps spread through the crowd. A guard shouted for him to stop. Daniel didn't. "I helped them," he said, "and I will do it again." The square fell silent. Mara stepped beside him, then another worker, then another. More voices joined. "They are children. This is wrong." Guards hesitated. High above, the transport ship waited. Back in the room, Sarai felt something change. The air felt lighter. The children looked up. "Mother," the oldest said. "I hear many voices." Sarai listened. Hope had a sound. In the square, Daniel stood shaking but unbroken. For the first time, the colony had to face itself. And for the first time, humanity was being tested not by aliens, but by its own heart. The crowd did not move for a long moment. Words hung in the air, heavy and real. Guards stood unsure, hands near their weapons but not reaching for them. The transport ship's engines hummed in the distance, waiting for orders that did not come. Daniel stood in the center of the square, his heart pounding so hard he could feel it in his ears. He did not know if he would be arrested, fired, or worse. But he knew one thing: he would not step back. Mara lifted her voice again. "We are not monsters," She said, "If we let children be taken, then we become them." More people stepped forward, workers, technicians. Even a few guards lowered their weapons slightly. A senior officer pushed through the crowd. His uniform was clean, his face calm, but his eyes were sharp. "Enough," the officer said. "This matter is under authority control." Daniel looked straight at him. "Then look," he said. "Really look." Screens around the square suddenly turned on. Mara had done it. Images appeared, recordings from the outer zones. The torn tent, the shaking children, the cold nights, then the shelter. Then the small room with warmth and light. Gasps spread across the square. The officer's jaw tightened. "These recordings are unauthorized," he said. "So is letting children freeze," Daniel replied. Silence followed. The officer turned slowly. He looked at the people. He saw their faces: anger, shame, fear, and something else. Understanding. The transport ship's engines powered down. Signal light changed from red to yellow. The officer raised his hand. "Stand down," he ordered the guards. Relief rushed through the crowd like a wave. That night, Sarai felt a knock on the door again. She froze, fear returning for a brief moment. Then Daniel's voice spoke. "It's okay. It's me." She opened the door. Daniel stood there, exhausted, bruised, but smiling. Behind him were two medical workers and a small transport cart. "It's over," he said softly. Sarai's legs nearly gave out. She held the doorframe to stay standing. Children ran to Daniel. The youngest hugged his leg without fear. "They won't take you," Daniel said. "Not now, not ever." The medical workers checked the children. Warm food was given. Clean clothes were brought in. Sarai watched in silence, tears forming in her eyes. Later that night, they were moved not to a camp, not to a cage, but to a safe living space inside the colony. A real home, with rooms, light, and air that did not hurt to breathe. Days passed. The colony changed. Rules were reviewed. Outer zones were closed. Alien families were given protection. Not all humans agreed, but enough did. Sarai stood on a balcony one morning, watching her children play under the open sky. No tent, no fear. Daniel stood beside her. "You gave us more than a roof," she said. "You gave us a future." Daniel shook his head. "You reminded us who we are supposed to be." The oldest child looked up at them. "Does this mean we belong?" Daniel knelt beside him. "Yes," he said, "it does." Sarai placed her hand over her heart. She felt the living knowledge inside her children growing, safe and free, across the stars. Others would one day hear this story. How an alien mother raised her children in a tent. How one human stopped, and how, on a cold night, humanity chose to be human. The galaxy would remember that choice, because sometimes the greatest strength of humanity is not power, it is compassion.